So it's safe to say, outside of myself, that UFC champions are the most dangerous men in the world. Some of the most dangerous men in history when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. But no one is invincible except Ilia Topuria. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the biggest weaknesses of every current UFC champion, starting off with my GOAT, Alex P. And this man just got no weaknesses. He's unbeatable. No, I'm joking. I would say his biggest weakness are speed maxers with good boxing. We saw this in the first fight with Ankalaev, and even though Khalil isn't a super technical boxer, he's still extremely fast, and he was also giving Pereira problems on the feet. And before you say, oh, what about the grappling? He's cooked if he gets to the ground. I know I've said the same in the past, but he's actually become a very good defensive grappler, and no one can deny that. He stopped every single one of Lil Ang's takedowns, and he survived with Blachowicz on his back, and he did a decent job defensively when he got taken down by Jiri. And I know we haven't really seen him get up from the ground, but I think his defense on the ground and his takedown defense is good enough to where we can say his grappling isn't his biggest weakness. But let's move on to Tom Aspinall, and his biggest weakness is the fact that he doesn't tuck his shin. And I understand we haven't really seen him being punished for that because he's such a speed maxer, but we can all see it there, getting a breeze of fresh air, just waiting to be cracked. So Tom, you better get that fixed. But let's move on to Volkanovski, and Volk's biggest weakness is that he exits out of exchanges with his hands down. And he does this a lot in his fights, but he gets away with it because he's so fast. But when he gets caught, it can be very devastating. It's what caused the Ilia Topuria knockout, and Lopez was also able to drop him because of that. But let's move on to Hamza Chimaev, and where should I even start? Inactivity, lack of entertainment. Bro, you better put on some good fights. We can't have you trying to reenact the DDP fight every time you defend your title, okay? I'm joking, kinda. But if you ask people before the Dricus fight, most would have said cardio, and after the Dricus fight, people are saying cardio isn't an issue anymore. And I will both say they are wrong. I would say his biggest weakness was that he didn't pace himself correctly. Obviously, if you go out 100% from the get-go, you're gonna get tired, no matter who you are, unless you're Maral. But I will say that he is lacking a bit in the cardio department, and I base that on the fact that he is very fast twitch and explosive. So it makes sense for him to be more prone to gassing out, and he was very tired even at the end of the fight with DDP. And that was a very slow-paced fight. A lay-and-pray hugfest, so to speak. So I would say his biggest weakness is someone who is able to make him fight at a high pace. And I know that is pretty vague, but it could be someone like Fluffy Hernandez, for example. And in my opinion, if you can't make him expend energy, it's gonna be very hard to beat him. And I guess you can say his striking defense is pretty bad too, because he actually gets tagged clean a lot when he's actually striking. Like, take the DDP fight, for example. As soon as he stood that fight back up in the 5th round, DDP found immediate success, and Hamza really didn't want anything to do with DDP in the stand-up. But let's move on to my glorious king, my GOAT, Ilia Topuria, yeah. And this man got that passive income resume. All of his greatest wins are just aging better and better as time goes by. Volk beat Lopez, Holloway beat Poirier, Oliveira just destroyed Gamrot. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I forgot this wasn't an Ilia Topuria Glaze video, but let's get back to the topic. Because Ilia Topuria's style is so offense heavy, his biggest weakness is that he puts his head on the chopping block. Like, in order to put in work with his boxing, he needs to be in mid-range, and he needs to risk getting hit himself in order to dish out damage and get the knockout. And as a result, he actually gets tagged pretty good in a lot of his fights, but he has a good chin, so he hasn't been severely hurt, except for that one time with Jai Herbert. And I want to make this very clear, I'm not saying he's bad defensively. I think his general defense is actually very good, but it's just that his style is so offense heavy, and the consequence of that is that he also gets tagged clean sometimes. But moving on, we got Islam Makhachev, and actually, technically, he isn't a champion anymore. Shut up, Mikey Musumeci! He never lost a belt, so I'm gonna include him anyways because I want to. And Makshev's biggest weakness is Ilia Topuria. We know why you moved up. You don't want this smoke. Nah, I'm joking. It's a dogfight, okay? A real scrap. We saw this in the first Volk fight. Volk wanted all the smoke and he made it close. And we also saw it in the Poirier fight. And although Makhachev was winning for the most part in that fight, Poirier did make it close in moments. However, the problem is that you actually have to be good enough to make it into a scrap. And that's very hard considering Makhachev is so elite everywhere when it comes to his skills. skills. That's why the Ilia Topuria fight is so exciting. Ilia Topuria is someone we know has very good grappling. He's so elite and dangerous on the feet. He's definitely the most dangerous fighter in the lower weight classes, so we know he has the skills to make it into a scrap, and he also has the power and skill to sleep Makhachev. So hopefully we get that fight in the future. But moving on, we got Merab, the takedown goblin, Dvalishvili. And this guy's actually just built different. He just has unlimited cardio somehow, and even though skill wise he isn't the best, he doesn't need to be. He's straight up just a cardio mogger. He forces you into grappling exchanges in order to gas you out. And the worst part is, he's getting even better. He recently started threatening submissions on people and learned how to really take advantage of the threat of the takedown. So beating Merab is actually not an easy task at all. However, he is quite open on the feet and he likes to just crash into his opponents when he's striking. And if you're able to time that with a counter, you could put him out. However, he does have a very good chin. So on top of that, you need to pack a serious punch in order to even have a chance. Like you can take the Sandhagen fight for example. I think Sandhagen fought Merab in basically the best way possible. However, he just lacked steam in his hands. He was never really able to significantly hurt Merab. But on the other hand, O'Malley is someone who's very powerful, precise, and has really good counters. But he just lacked too much in the grappling department. So to be honest, I don't really think anyone is gonna beat Merab. And even though I hate to admit it, because what he did to my GOAT Jan and might do again, God please no, he is the bantamweight GOAT. And if he gets a couple more good wins, he's gonna be in that GOAT of the sport discussion. But let's move on to Pantoja. And first of all, let's put some respect on this guy. He's one of the most undervalued champions of all time. I mean, the guy's literally closing in on Demetrius Johnson on the GOAT list. Now that said, he kind of has the same weakness as Merab. He just runs in with punches and overwhelms his opponents. And that's a very big part of his game. And this of course makes him very vulnerable to counters. We saw this in the Usyk fight for example. Now that said, it still works very well because most flyweights don't have that pop to really hurt Pantoja. And he has a really good chin on top of that. However, it's very dangerous when you're fighting someone with serious power like Figueiredo for example. And we saw multiple times in that fight how Figueiredo would time Pantoja with counters as he ran in with punches. And he seriously hurt Pantoja in multiple moments of their fight. And he almost put him away in the second round. But let's move on to the IDM. And this is grappling. And I'm not saying he's a bad grappler. He's actually very good defensively. He showed that in the... Wait, what's his name again? I forgot his name. Zalal? I forgot, man. Leave the name in the comments if you remember. But I'm only saying that his grappling is his biggest weakness, because if you manage to take him down, you have now successfully managed to take away his strongest weapon, which is his boxing. And other than that, I don't really see any other big weaknesses that he has in his game. But that's enough yap for today, guys. Check out my last video. It was about who Alex Pereira should fight next. But anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe for some of the best yap on MMA YouTube. Am I just an Ilia Topuria glazer? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and also don't forget to share this to every single MMA fan you know, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!